Hello and welcome to a video about sand drag racing. In this video it will be some answers to frequently asked questions and some behind the scenes of building these crazy sand drag racing monsters. Over the years I have uploaded some videos from these sand racing events and races, and some of them got really popular with over 11 million views on the most viewed one. A lot of questions I get on the comments of those videos, and also when I meet people in person that have seen videos, they have usually a lot of questions what kind of cars and engines and the competition. So in this video I will try to answer as many of the questions that I have seen about this cool sport here in UAE. One of the most asked questions is why don't they use pedal tires? And yeah, there's two reasons for that. Like in many motorsport classes, there is a specification tire, and here it is the BF Goodrich tire that everybody needs to be using, so it's the same for all. And also I think it's good it's keeping these closer to the street cars, and from where I think this sport came from, where you take your car out in the desert in the weekends and play around in the sand dunes. But there is some races where pedal tires are allowed. And as you can see, it's too much grip, it almost flips over. But can't you have wheelie bars like in drag racing? Yeah, some of them have it. But that would not work on the uphill races, only on this flat ground race. But there is actually a new category last 2 years. It's the Hilux category, where pedal tires are allowed. These are more standard cars, steel body, but all engines are allowed, and some quite a lot of power. So the drivers sometimes have to modulate the throttle to not flip over. Too much grip in these pedal tires. What kind of cars are these? Yeah, I think almost all of them are the Nissan Patrols. Y60 is this boxy style body called, and I think it's produced between 87 to 1997. There is also some other cars like this boxy old style Jeep, but not very common. And it's also this new category with the Toyota Hiluxes. It's the white pickups, older and newer models, but I think this car is only possible to buy in white, because all of them are white with some stripes on the sides. Why is so much blowing up? Yeah, let's talk about this. It's many comments on the videos about these engines blowing up. Lars here did calculate the fail rate, and it was 53% fail rate. But that's actually not true, because if I should take every pass of this competition in one video, the videos would be more than 1 hour long. So I'm only taking the most spectacular runs. I'm taking the ones that goes really fast uphill, the ones with goes a little bit left or right, or the ones with the engine blowing up or something spectacular. So it looks in my videos that it's more failures than it actually is. But yes, there is failures, and that's because they're on the limits of what these engines can produce. These making 250 horsepower from the beginning, and some is making over 2000 now. Some years ago you could actually win these events with 1200 horsepower, and that's what they had in engines, and they were running several events and several years with the same engine actually. But nowadays that's not enough to win these events, and everybody wants to win, because if you win an event it's just not honor. On the big races like in the Liva, first prize in each class is always a car. It has been a Jeep, it has been Nissan Patrol, the new ones, Y62, very expensive cars, so the prize money for being an amateur sport is very high. and that in combination that it is only the best time that is winning. It's not like in drag racing where you have the qualifying runs and the eliminations, so if you will win a drag racing competition you have to make maybe 10 passes. Here it's enough to make one really good pass to win. That's why they give everything, and the engines is sometimes on the limit of what they can hold. And it's also really tough conditions. They launch this car on the 4th gear, so it's usually the gear with 1-to-1, 4-wheel drive, and yeah, bouncing up the hill you can really hear how it's not so nice for engines compared to like a drag strip where you have an automatic car going smooth up the drag strip. And another comment here from Lars that Americans can really build engines that last for hours. I'm just comparing to TX2K, the event in Texas. I've been there a couple of times and always check the live streams. They're mostly running the Supras and the Nissan GTRs, and they are on the limit on what those can handle, the drivetrain and engines. And there is a lot of carnage on that event. Many engines broken and many gearboxes broken there. That's what happens when you take out a lot more horsepower than the engines are supposed to be doing. If you compare to like V8's high performance engines that is made for racing, they hold up. Maybe better, but do they have as much power? Of course, the billet engines that's used in drag racing for high horsepower is holding up, and now they're actually building billet TB48 6-cylinders, these 4.8 liter engines here in UAE. And what engines do they put in those things? They sound great. And these straight 6-cylinder engines are one FCFE, it's a Toyota engine, and it's the Nissan engine, the TB48 model. They are a little bit similar to the famous Nissan RB engine and the famous Toyota 2JZ engine, but the cylinder volume of these ones are bigger. The Toyota engine in stock is 4.5 liter and the Nissan engine is 4.8 liter. And same concept as the RB and 2J, the Nissan engines have its turbo or hot side on the left hand side of the engine, and the Toyota has the turbo or the exhaust on the right hand side, so it's pretty easy to see from long distance if it is a Nissan or a Toyota 1FC FE engine. By the way, none of those have turbos in the beginning. They are normally aspirated, these engines, but with a big turbo they can produce a lot of power. And these TB48 engines, they're still available to buy, actually, brand new. They're available in the Nissan Patrols, even though it's an old engine. You can still get a brand new car with this engine, 2020 year model in the Middle East. And in the Toyota Land Cruiser is where you can find the 1FC engine. This one is a street car, and you can find plenty of street cars with big turbos like the Patrols and the Land Cruisers in UAE. There is so many comments about that these engines are 2JCs, but none of the engines in the SUVs are 2Js, I can say. But in the new category with the Toyota Hiluxes, there I have actually seen 1 or 2 cars that have 2J engines in it. So yeah, there is a couple of 2Js coming now. Many cars are running without air filter, and then seems to concern a lot of people. Many comments of people thinking that the sand will damage the compressors of the turbos, and it's also the reason for the fail rates, the fails of the engines. But I can say that it is not as dangerous as many people think. Of course, if it had been racing with cars running after each other, then it would enter sand into the turbo. But now it's actually not entering much sand into the turbo. First of all, why don't they have air filters? Yeah, it's because it's a restriction and they want to have as much power as possible. And there is not that many air filters that can handle 2000 horsepower out there without any restriction. Similar turbo cars in drag racing usually do not have any air filters. And actually, the drag strips where there is small stones and rocks actually make more damage to the compressor wheels than the sand. The sand in the turbos is actually not doing anything at all. Usually they look all fine, the compressor wheels, after many years of driving. But in drag racing I think it's more common that you blend out some nicks of the compressor wheel or send it back to the manufacturer for refresh from time to time. And for the engine itself, these engines, every second about 1,000 liters of air is going through them. So if a little bit of sand comes in there, it's so little so it doesn't make any damages. So none of these failures of the engines are coming from the sand, I can say. Of course, it would be better for the long life and everything to have air filters, but these engines are used so little, so no problem without air filters. What times would these make on the quarter mile? I think the best times now for these SUVs, Nissan Patrol TB48 engines, is 7:15. So they are really fast ones. This footage is a couple of years old, and I was planning to go to the drag races here where they have classes with these SUVs. But as you know, Corona hit, and all races here in UAE and almost all over the world is cancelled by now. Power are these 6-cylinder NAs making? And I don't have any dyno numbers of it, but when asking, some say 300, some say 400 of NA horsepower, and with the nitrous it's over 1,000 horsepowers in some of them. And here we have another TB48. This one is stroked to 5.2 liters and puts out a lot of nitrous here. It has a Motec M800 ECU, and it puts out nitrous in 2 stages. You can see the solenoids here. I think this one puts out 860 horsepower on the wheels, at least. So a lot of power out of these without the turbo. And you can see everything is removed here that is not supposed to be here to make it as light as possible. Natural aspirated category has become large later years, and that's cool because they're not blowing up every time, because they're not on the limits of these engines. It's the Nissan TB48, 4.8 liter Nissan engines. Small radiator. I think they only have like water in the head and nothing in the block. I see the water pump is removed over there. Very small fuel cell there. Block intake with a big plenum welded onto it there, and a lot of nitrous. So this is the naturally aspirated category, but it's actually not really naturally aspirated because nitrous is allowed. But no turbos or superchargers are allowed in this category. This is getting more and more popular because this is a very classic car engine here in UAE. So it's great prestige to have the best of these ones. And this category is also allowed to have these Desert Masters sand tires. 4-wheel drive, and I think the manual gearbox is used in this one. No, it's an automatic gearbox. And here we have the brain of the engine, the Motec M150. Here we have the Sub-Zero. They have 2-stage nitrous in this one, 1 stage under here. Beautiful Hypertune intake there. Nice runners, fuel rail. The driver.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Ready to rock and roll.
Ready to rock and roll, yes.
6NA nitrous.
Yes. Nitrous, double bottles. They have the Link ECU, and it is an Turbo 400 gearbox inside there. Here is a nice Nissan build, extreme motor garage, and water pump is removed, and this one must be running methanol. It has no intercooler there, just a pipe from turbo to the intake, and One other thing here, you can see a long tank here and the dry sump pump. It's very important to get oil here. Very good with a long tank there. Because of going up the hill there, it's very critical that you get oil to the engine at all time.
Another patrol in the LS category. This engine is pretty far back here. Really nice build. And just a little small radiator there. Twin Garrett turbos. And it has dual fuel rails there with some additional injectors. Fuel tank, just a small one here in the front, not more than needed. Pump, it's cool.
I have been in UAE all spring here, couple of months, and was planning to go to several events, races and do some videos. Also go to some shops and see some builds and cars. But due to Corona, all got cancelled. But here I have some older footage from Sub-Zero workshop where you can see what parts they are using and how they build these cars. Also some behind the scene of some last minute putting the car together the night before the race.
This is a car for Sub-Zero. You understand, Mr. Ganja? This is for Sub-Zero. I am saying you, fuck you. Look, see you here. والله يلعن يومك نفس الفكهة. Mr. Sri
You have one hospital, only one patient, this man jumped. Huh?
يا أسود
know.